What's up, YouTubers and cinephiles? Welcome to another edition of Nerd with Me. I'm your host, John Ricky, and today we're doing another episode of a new segment called Flicks Talk. Today's subject is reboots, remakes, and reimaginings. My ideal candidate for a remake, a reboot, a reimagining is a story that was ahead of its time, or there wasn't enough money to do what they needed to do, or they did it some way that just didn't serve the story right, or just wasn't executed well. Basically, good stories that were squandered by lack of resources. This brings me to the subject of this film, this cult classic fantasy film, directed by the amazing Ridley Scott in his early days, right after Blade Runner. Legend. Legend is an amazing film visually about the old stories of old. Good versus evil, light versus dark, in quite the literal sense. For the fact that the main character is fighting a demon-like creature that literally looks like the personification, the old school personification of evil, of the devil, played by the amazing Tim Curry, who was also the amazingly horrifying Pennywise in the television movie It. Incredible. Also with the hero being played by a super young Tom Cruise. At the time, and even by today's standards, this film is beautiful. It's beautiful to look at. Costumes, the production design, everything visually stunning, especially for a fantasy epic. This looks incredible, but it also is very limited. In order to get all production, unfortunately they had to sacrifice most of the story. If you have the DVD or Blu-ray, look at the film and watch it objectively, like just seeing how the story goes. Don't focus on the visuals and everything like that, because it does look incredibly amazing and very gothic at times and so on and so forth. But look at the storyline, and it's very lacking. It's the very minimalist of storylines. Like, good guy and the princess comes into the woods. They see a majestic creature. They see it being hurt by the forces of evil in order to bring on an age of darkness and terror. And then the princess gets kidnapped. The hero has to save the day before darkness falls forever. Very simple, to the point, action adventure, go. Right? But the characters in the movie, especially the good characters, no development at all. You're just like, oh yeah, we have to go point A, point B to get to point Z. And that's the general thing of the story. Bring a little bit of philosophy about struggle of good and evil, which is great for what it is, especially with darkness, the villain's darkness being his last words, really driving at home, very on the nose. So I have the collector's edition of this film, which has both the US version and the international director's cut version. I like the director's cut version a lot better, mainly because it's longer. They're both really amazing in their own rights. But the cream of the crop of that Blu-ray DVD is the special features, the creation of the film. And when you watch that, they actually talk about the many versions of the script that they went through, and supposedly there's a version out there that's like 200 pages long. Now, this movie at longest, like the international cut version, is like maybe 100 minutes long, an hour and 40 long. Jeez, that is a lot of fat that they had to cut out just because of budgetary reasons. And when I mean budgetary reasons, it's because of some of the stuff that the gentleman wrote in the original screenplay. Like, they had the unicorns, which are a big plot point. Like, they are like the bringers of life. They're pure innocence incarnate, right? So they had this portion where their pitfalls, their steps, create flowers in their wake, which was like, oh my god, they couldn't achieve that back then. Stuff like that. They even had like this whole like, Lord of the Rings battle at the end, or before the end. But everything in there, you're saying, wow, even Ridley Scott says they like, man, this script is incredible, but this movie will cost like $400 million back then. But now you bring that into this day and age with the technology we have and what we can do, it'd be a fraction of it. It may cost like $150 million or so up, but it would be doable. Character motivations in this version of the script, or these versions of the script, were a lot more defined. They actually, like, especially with the main characters, Jack and Lily. Lily's the princess. In the movies, in the international and the US cut, you're just seeing Lily, the princess, come into the woods, and you're just like, wait a minute, is she a princess? I mean, they say she's a princess and so on and so forth, but you never see a castle, you never see this, you never see that. I mean, she could just be some peasant girl that just comes into the woods because she has an infatuation with the farm boy, Jack, who's all in tune with nature and everything else, and that's it. But their characters are very thin in the movie itself. So you bring this new version, or rather this old version, back, and you can actually see, like, okay, these characters' motivations, so on and so forth. A lot more expansion, a lot more to do. I mean, you can tell this film was heavily inspired by Lord of the Rings, and it was just a stripped down version of it. And you can actually call it a kind of a beta test for the eventual adaptation of Lord of the Rings that we got, which is so amazing. Like, this was the original. Actually, you know what? If you watch the movie, rent it, or buy the movie, I suggest you buy it. It's an amazing film. But I swear to God, you will look at this. Gamers, listen up. You will look at this film and think, Legend of Zelda was inspired by this film. I mean, you can see Link, you can see, Zelda, you can see Ganondorf. You know what I mean, gamers. But anyway, I think Legend would really benefit from a remake, reboot, reimagining, dust off that 200-page version of the script that they couldn't do back then, and bring it into this day and age technology. I think that would be an incredible film, incredible remake. What do you think, guys? Comment, like, share. Hey, I like what you think, man. Anyway, until next time, John Ricky, I'm out.